Hello, it is Simp for Tyree. Back for an updated 2 round mock draft. As since the last one I made, or the last one I did was with Ethan, but the last one I did, that was just me. Since then, I've filled out my draft board a lot more. I've gotten a lot more All-22 from connections and digging deep into Discords and whatever. But I've just filled out my board now. More now, as I should say. So I'm going to have a lot better thoughts on the prospects that I've evaluated. So let's get into this. For the sake of this, I'm going to, because Carson Wentz is on track to play week 1, I'm going to give the Eagles the Colts pick. They're going to have 3 first-round picks. Should I spice... But here's the question. Should I spice it up and have an Eagles-Watson trade? I kind of like the idea. Screw it, let's have fun. Now, Texans... Actually, hold on. Just so I can make it the Eagles offering so it'll accept it. All those picks. And the Texans have been also saying, like, they want another pick on top of that. So let's go with, like, 56. And now, boom. Oh. Crap. Hold on. Will this work? Crap. Is it only going to accept it for the 3? I've already tried it like this. Hold on. Worst case scenario, I'm just not going to do the trade, I guess. Crap. Well, I guess I'm just not going to do the trade. It's whatever. So, pick number one overall. The Texans honestly have a good supporting cast for a young quarterback. I am already incredibly high on Spencer Rattler, and I expect him to take a huge step in his development and probably end up as, like, if I'm stacking this up against the 2020 class, after next year, I would expect him to potentially be ahead of Zach Wilson, where I viewed him, which was QB2. Now for the Lions, I've heard some good points about them not taking Thibodeau, but my thought is, yeah, you have Romeo Okwara. He way overperformed last year, and I'm not going to actually say overperformed, I'm going to say it was an anomaly year. I doubt he'll ever do that again. But Trey Flowers, I think his time in Detroit is running down. He might get cut after next year, to be honest. And I'm just not high enough on any of the quarterbacks here to take them at 2. So I'm going to go Thibodeau. And even if you keep Trey Flowers, you use 3 edge rushers. That is a nasty trio. You can't block that. Now for the Jaguars. Oh. I could do a podcast segment sometime where I just go absolutely shredding their organization. Because I do not like what they're doing. Let me just say that. The what's going on with CJ Henderson is if you go to his Twitter, look at what he's liked, it is a question if he's in a good mental health state. And from what I've been hearing, Urban Meyer doesn't really have the patience to get him the help. Yeah, Henderson isn't wanting to show up because he just isn't motivated and isn't doing the best from a mental health perspective. But with mental health problems, you need to be persistent with getting them the help. And if they're like not making a concerted effort to get him that help, that's on the Jags. But I feel like with the CJ Henderson news now, that probably is going to open up Derek Stingley, who in the Jaguars scheme will be my number one corner. I said on Twitter that if I'm running more of a press, well, if I'm running any sort of press scheme, Kaiir Elam is my number one corner. But if I'm running any other scheme where I'm not letting my corners get in the receiver's face, I'll go with Stingley as my number one corner. But I'm but for well, I guess I'm gonna go with Stingley. Like you're getting the top 1% of the top 1% of athletes, and a guy who is very polished for a sophomore. If you were saying he's a junior, he wouldn't be incredibly polished, but like I think his only knocks are he doesn't have the length to press that well, and he kind of struggles to anticipate hips. Or just anticipate. For the Jets here, I could go Evan Neal, but I expect that they're going to end up giving Morgan Moses a big extension. So, my pick is going to be Kaiir Elam. 2 corners in the top 5. I was watching Kaiir Elam tape, and like he is so technically sound and has Florida was such a weird scheme. They had Marco Wilson pressing more than Elam, and Elam is the miles better press corner. Marco Wilson is just an athlete playing corner. So, this year, now with Wilson gone, Elam is going to step into Wilson's role and get a lot more of those press matchups. Where in the limited opportunities that he got, not really limited, but for the lack of opportunities he's gotten considering his scheme, he had incredible press technique. For the Bengals here, where do I go? I'm probably not going to make many friends with this, but I think based off 2020 tape alone, Charles Cross is more technically sound than Evan Neal. I saw Evan Neal with a ton as a run blocker. Charles Cross, he was a good run defender in limited opportunities. He was a better run defender than Evan Neal, despite probably only getting 5 to 7 rundowns a game because he's in an air raid offense. But then Charles Cross is super refined from a pass protection perspective. He mirrors hips really well. He understands you have to have your crotch to the inside hip. And his only knocks, is sometimes he could get a little bit caught off guard by power. And that was because in 2020 he was 290, but he's beefed up since, so his anchor is going to be probably lethal. But Cross is amazing. I think he's a top 10 player at the moment. So is Evan Neal. I want to put that on record. For the Eagles here, I released my new QB rankings on Twitter. I said it's a 2A, 2B between Sam Howell and Grayson McCall. You could go either way. I honestly see a lot of similarities between the two, except
McCall might be a bit more athletic, but maybe doesn't have the arm strength. I've said on Twitter also that Grayson McCall has the most talented arm, which I kind of at some point want to do a podcast segment on that. So I'll go more in detail on that eventually. I'm gonna go Sam Howell here. It's not a flashy pick in my opinion. I don't know if he's gonna be a star quarterback. I think he'll be a quality starter. Kind of a poor man's Baker Mayfield. A lot of people say he is Baker Mayfield, but he doesn't have Baker's arm talent, and he's not as athletic as Baker and is stiff. For the Giants here, you're picking here, it's because quarterback. But I've had a huge change in my ranking. I am not a Malik Willis fan. He has such a long way to go for a processing standpoint. Like he bailed from they'll go trips to one side and have like one of those blocked up halfback swing screens, and he'll bail from that. Like he won't even throw it, he'll bail. And then going further, his ball placement is bad, and he isn't very accurate at all. He's a complete project. And after I rewatched him yesterday, I like went and talked to a couple of football opinions I respect. And then I talked to an area scout. I got the same thing over and over again. He is incredibly raw and is a round 3 pick. So, and after getting those opinions, I kind of matched their rankings or their grade, because he has such a long way to go, and I saw everything they saw. But am I gonna lie and say that he wouldn't be a phenomenal fit in the Giants? Like, getting a year or two to sit behind Daniel Jones, who actually is a good mentor for a young quarterback, am I gonna lie and say that wouldn't be a good thing? Or it wouldn't be a good fit, I should say? No. And I'm gonna take Willis. I don't love it by any means, but I think that's a situation, or that's a place he could go to in the first round, and it would work out. I actually moved Matt Corral over Willis. And for the Falcons here, I want to get a developmental option for Matt Ryan, and that's Matt Corral. You give him like 2 years to sit behind Matt Ryan and start to weed out some of his terrible decision making and processing, and learning from a great mentor, Matt Ryan, you could be getting a top 10 quarterback at pick 8. Now for the Panthers, this is going to be Evan Neal 10 times out of 10. Their tackle situation stinks. I'm not a Taylor Moton guy, and I was nowhere close to a Brady Christensen guy, and I think Brady Christensen at his best is a low-end starter, and he's probably already maxed out at 25. So I'm going to go Evan Neal, and that's honestly a good fit, because the Carolina Panthers offense is actually somewhat similar to the Alabama offense. People have been talking about how the Alabama scheme is going to change. Man, Nick Saban has been running that same offense for the past 10 years. Just because Sark is gone doesn't mean the scheme is changing. It's just probably going to be ran slightly different, but it's going to be the same scheme. And now for the Giants. So often I see Drake Jackson here, and it makes me so mad. Drake Jackson is a third round prospect. I I bet when more people, like when I hear more football opinions from people I respect, name like a few, next year they'll probably have a fourth round grade on him. So right now I might end up being higher on Drake Jackson than what he will be next year if he doesn't take a huge step up. But the pick here, I kind of like the idea of what DeMarvin Leal could look like in this scheme. But I don't feel like they'd be getting that much run defense. Or like they're actually no, they have bodies on the run defense, but he's kind of a little bit of an awkward fit with Leonard Williams there. But I think actually the pick is gonna be Tyler Linderbaum. I have a first round grade on Linderbaum, and I think that could still go up the more I watch. He is incredible. He is the one guy that George Karlaftis didn't give fits. For the Broncos here, it's Grayson McCall. What the hell? McCall is probably the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft, and has like a pretty good ceiling. He could be like a top 15 quarterback for a long time. For the Raiders here, I've heard Alex Leatherwood has been very meh. Um, very on their edge room. I hate their corner room, but I'm not very high on Ahmad Gardner. I think he is probably more of a second round prospect. Andrew Booth is like a more athletic Kelvin Joseph. He just doesn't really know how to play football at the moment. He's a crazy athlete. A crazy athlete. Then Trent McDuffie, he's just solid at everything. I think the pick here. Oh. What is what actually this say? Kenyon Green, he's solid. Very similar to Vera Tucker last year, who I had a first to a second round grade on. Wasn't terribly high on him. Chris Olave would actually be a very good complement to Henry Ruggs. So would Garrett Wilson. I'm not crazy on Traylon Burks. I have a second round grade. I think Olave makes sense as like just a very balanced boundary receiver. They just loaded up on safeties. Who would I take here? Oh man. I don't feel great about it, but I'm gonna go Olave. I'm not crazy on Olave. I think he's a talented player, but I don't think it's the upside of a number one. For the Cardinals here, cornerback. I just was looking at the cornerbacks, but I wouldn't take Booth in the first round. I wouldn't take Gardner the first round. I wouldn't take McDuffie. Sevyn Banks is super talented, but wouldn't take him quite yet in the first round. Honestly, this just hurts me. DeMarvin Leal's still there. I gotta take him. For Washington, what quarterbacks are there? Carson Strong, mail it in. For the Vikings, they've constantly been filling up that edge room. But Karlaftis is there. Zach Harrison is there. That's hard to pass on. For me. but so is Kyle Hamilton. And they could use like more future planning. I'm like talking myself into that. I'm gonna go Kyle Hamilton there. Imagine what Mike Zimmer could do with him. That would just be insane. Chargers now. I like their offensive line now. I like the receiving core. Teron Johnson is really good. I like Guyton as well. So probably not receiver. They could use more, like, they could use another body in that edge room. So it's going to be Karlaftis. Pains me that Karlaftis is there. So I'm going to take him. And that's like Derwin James falling to them. Patriots. I doubt they pick there. But for the sake of the mock draft, I will give them a receiver, and it's Garrett Wilson. And then Steelers. So often I see a quarterback go to them, but their offensive line is hot garbage. So I don't want to put a quarterback behind that. That is just setting the quarterback on fire. And now looking at this board, I'm not a Zion Nelson fan. I have a 4th round grade on him. Rasheed Walker, 4th round grade. Sean Ryan, 3rd to 4th. I'm not a fan of him. He has just terrible pass protection technique. Abraham Lucas, I'm not a fan of. Darian Kennard, not a fan. Nick Broker, definitely not a fan. Haven't really heard of Obina Easy. I know people that like Petit Ferrer haven't gotten him yet. I know people that like Wanya Morris. But the pick here for me, I hate to reach. Like, I hate to make this reach, but you have to reach for linemen. So it's going to be Thayer Munford. I think Munford is probably capped out, but he's going to come to the NFL as a quality starter and be a quality starter for a long time. For the Eagles here, we got a quarterback. Their offensive line is set, in my opinion. Maybe could look at a guard to, like, because I think this is Jason Kelsey's last year, and then Landon Dickerson is going to kick into center. I thought Dickerson, without the injury concerns, was probably like a top 5 to 10 player in the class. But I think their line is set, maybe just like a guard again. I should scroll back up. And then, so I'm not looking at line. I think the receiving core is fine, but could use another body. I think Devonta Smith is going to be a day one star. Then I'm not a Jalen Reagor guy. Wes Watkins getting some hype. I like him, but I don't see a crazy guy upside in him, just because he's honestly a speedster who doesn't have much route running quite yet. Then I'm not a Fulgham fan. He had like 2 good weeks and then did nothing. So probably looking at a number 2. And I think the pick for me would be John Mechie. So many people hate him. I really like him. And he has insane straight line speed. Well, I wouldn't say insane, but he has really good straight line speed. He was constantly wide open deep against Texas A&M. His upside is insanely high. For the Saints here, this is a receiver. I think you could take the super risky dart throw on Justin Ross, who, if you hit on him, you're getting a number 1 receiver, like Mike Evans. I'm gonna project that he has a great year, as he's like he's Clemson's best receiver. and is gonna have an insane year. For the Cowboys here, I might take Isaiah Likely. I haven't really heard anyone else of them as tight end one, but I do. He might be as good of an athlete as Kyle Pitts. I think he's Jonnu Smith, but maybe even better. And then it's going to have another year of development. I like Weirmeyer, but I wouldn't take him until the third round. If I'm drafting a tight end round 1, round 2, and want him to be a freak athlete, he's not a freak athlete. He doesn't get much separation at all. Could look at center. I like Jarrett Patterson, I like Alec Lindstrom, but I'm not sure if this is the value for them. I could look at a number 2 edge, as I think Randy Gregory is on a 1-year deal. Zach Harrison would be a super fun fit. Perry Winfrey I like. Jordan Davis I like. Tyler Davis I like. But I think corner needs to be the pick. And I might just go Ahmad Gardner. I don't love it, but gotta fill the need. For the Titans here, I like a developmental option here. A lot of people are mocking receiver to them, and I get it. Like, Julio Jones is 31 or 32. I want to say he's already been dealing with injuries in Titans camp. And he's probably got like 2 years left. Just as injuries are going to start taking over. And I think Drake London is solid. Has a really high upside. But I'm not sure if he's quite a first round player yet. I don't think Traylon Burks is a first round player. He just doesn't get the insane separation, but his upside is really high. He's like in the physical mold of A.J. Brown. 2 A.J. Browns would be fun. Ooh, as I'm thinking about this more, Isaiah Likely would be so fun. They really liked Jonnu Smith. And Isaiah Likely is Jonnu Smith, but with a higher upside, as he could be better at more things than Jonnu. For the Jets here, without a shadow of a doubt, this is Zach Harrison. Zach Harrison is what Robert Saleh, when he thinks of his wide 9, big body defensive end, dreams of. He dreams of Zach Harrison. That is an incredible fit. Now for the Eagles, this will be corner. I think with him going to Clemson, I'll project the development from Andrew Booth to where he could get to like a serviceable level with his technique. For the Dolphins here, this has got to be offensive line. I hate what they're doing. Austin Jackson is an athlete playing tackle. Eichenberg is not a guard, and they're using him at left guard. He's a right tackle or a left tackle who will get absolutely demolished at guard. Then I hate Matt Skura. Their right guard, who is it? Robert Hunt, that's like their one solid piece. And then Jesse Davis is literal ass. So, now the question for me is, who do I pick? I'm not that big of a fan of this tackle class. Honestly, I guess I'll just bite the bullet and go Kenyon Green. Actually, no. I have a higher grade on Ike Mekwonu, as he's just really good and is a pretty good athlete. Then for the Browns, I'm going to project a huge step from Donovan Peoples to the point where I'm not going to take a receiver, but if Peoples doesn't step up, George Pickens is the pick I'm sending in like yesterday. Pickens has upside to return value as a top 10 player in this draft. But now the question is like they don't really have any needs. I would probably look at IDL and Jordan Davis. I have a first round grade on, so I'm gonna take him. I'm not a Jordan Phillips fan, but I am a Jordan Davis. And now for the running backs. This is Breece Hall. I was watching Iowa State and he is so explosive and is just so refined. For the Lions, this is receiver. I'm probably going to take receiver next pick. This is going to be Romeo Doubs for me. I think Doubs is just super good. He's got incredible straight line speed, is a really good route runner, has good hands. Like, he's good at everything and still has an insanely high upside. I think he'll run in the 4.3s, which at the moment, that's kind of an out there take. I'll keep referring to this play for a while. He lined up against Darren Hall, who runs a 4.4, got on top of, stacked Darren Hall, and then proceeded to get 2 steps on him. Romeo Doubs is a stud. For the Ravens here, this is Brandon Joseph. Joseph is insane. And the Ravens need safety. I have it like a top 15 grade on Joseph. It's just not many teams really have a gaping hole at safety. And then for the Packers here, this is wide receiver. If they keep around Devontae Adams, which I expect them to do, Drake London is such a good complement as more of the bigger body possession receiver. Whereas Adams is the super technician who is, like, one weakness, honestly, is coming down with contested catches. For the Bucks here, could I look at a developmental tackle? Maybe. Whether that's Zion Nelson, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, I don't know. I could look at another developmental option at edge. I could look at... Christian Harris is just staring me. I'm not a Christian Harris guy. I think at times he shows legitimate flashes of being freakishly good. But those are honestly few and far between. But at the moment, he's more of an athlete than anything else. But you put him next to Levante David and let him just learn and come into his own, you will have possibly the most athletic linebacker duo in NFL history. Christian Harris runs like low 4.4s, potentially a 4.3, which is scary. For the Chiefs, this is an edge 10 times out of 10. I think Kingsley Barr is solid. Myjai Sanders is solid. But I think Aiden Hutchinson is so ready day one, and that's what they truly need. For the Texans, I could look at a wide receiver. Actually, not really. I took Spencer Rattler. I think their offensive line is fine. But I think looking at the defense, this is like right where Trent McDuffie starts popping into my mind. Then, DeMarvin Overshown. I might go with Overshown. Yeah, I'm gonna pull the trigger. Overshown is really good and is a great athlete who still has tons of room to develop. For the Lions here, I'm looking at a receiver and it's Zay Flowers. Flowers is a really good route runner and is super polished and is a great athlete. Or I would say a really good athlete. For the Jags here, this is offensive tackle, I think, but I'm continuously reminded that I don't really like this tackle class. Oh, I might go on a quick rant about how bad college offensive lines are. Myron Cunningham, I recently saw mocked in the first round. The entire Arkansas O-line standing straight up, crotch to the edges, outside hip. Those two things make you a bad tackle or lineman. And everyone on that line does it. It's crazy. Ooh, for the Jacks, actually kind of like receiver here. Ooh. They took Jalen Camp. He has developmental upside, but he's super raw, as he didn't really play much. But he's just a freak athlete. Marvin Jones is only there for 1 year. And I kind of think he's being a bit overrated. But George Pickens, you're getting a potential top 10 talent in the second round. I will take that risk. For the Jets, I want to continue to beef up that defense. You got the corner. I would look at adding another linebacker. I would look at, or we already added an edge. I'm going to go Owen Papo, who I really like, as he's a freak athlete and is a super heady player. For the Bengals here, where did we go round 1? We went Charles Cross, so that secures their tackles. Then you'd probably, I think Jackson Garman has developmental upside as a guard. I think you could kick, what's his name, Deonta Smith into guard. So by taking Cross, you're making a net upgrade on that line. And then Trey Hopkins is just solid. So you go from garbage offensive line to a serviceable line overnight. So after that, I'm not looking at receiver, not looking at quarterback, not looking at running back. Probably looking at edge or corner. I kind of like the idea of taking a risk on Darian Kendrick, as Kendrick is just a freak athlete and is honestly pretty similar to Trey Waynes. So I'm going to do it. Darian Kendrick. More upside in that corner room. For the Eagles, I want to say we want wide receiver. I want to just make sure. Yeah, Mechie, Booth, and Howell. So, looking at a corner. Actually, wait, we just took a corner. Hold on. Ooh, Jordan Battle is there. I think their edge room is a lot better than people realize. Really, they don't have many needs. Honestly, I'd go Kenyon Green. Just secure that line and make it just a dominant group. Now for the Giants here, I want to say I went Willis. Actually, yeah, went Willis. And then, who was the other first round pick? Linderbaum. So you're upgrading the interior. you have your three, but then their guards are hot garbage. Like, they're so bad. I hate Will Hernandez. He sucks. And my pick here is going to be Emil Ikior, who is a really good run blocker and is coming along from a pass protection standpoint as a really good athlete for a guard. So now you have 4 quality starters on that line. I think Thomas is, or I won't say quality starters, but I really like Matt Pert, and he showed flashes last year. And then Andrew Thomas was good. People just are gonna look at the PFF grades or other people complaining, and then just say, "Oh, he was probably garbage." No, Thomas was good. Hi. But Thomas was good last year, and he showed development consistently as the year went on. So now for the Falcons, I'm looking at safety, and it's Jordan Battle easily. Battle is really good. Super heady player and is a great athlete, has good range. Fuck. For the Jets here, this is actually, hold on, let me just check off other positions. Jarrett Patterson is definitely on my mind. That might be the pick, honestly. I went Poe earlier. Not really looking at safety. So the pick here for me is going to be Isaiah Spiller or Jarrett Patterson. I think I'm going to go Jarrett Patterson just so I can check off every other position before running back. Fucking hell, my dogs. Alright, back on track. Bears, this is offensive line. This is where I would take Sean Ryan. I thought it was brainless to cut Charles Leno. Yes, he's regressed. But now you're trotting out Elijah Wilkinson. That is a huge downgrade. And you're making Tevin Jenkins learn a new position. Oh my. For the Broncos, we went quarterback. So now they have no needs on that roster. I guess take a developmental linebacker. I really like Edifon Olafosio, who's really good right now and still has incredible developmental upside. For the Raiders here, they honestly don't have much talent on that roster. We went receiver round 1. I would look at the defense here. And oh my god. I just want to make sure who I took. Took Olave, yeah. So now for them, looking at corner. I'm going to go Trent McDuffie. Just a really good just a good player. He's never going to be bad for you. Now for the Cardinals, I hate their offensive line. But I keep getting reminded, I don't really like this tackle class. Oh, wait, what the never mind. But also, I like Ron Elmore a lot. Who did I take round 1? Leal, that was a steal. No pun intended. Honestly, I like the fit of Kingsley Enagbare here. Yeah, I'm gonna pull the trigger. Enagbare could just be a super versatile piece for them and do many different things for them. Now for Washington. I think I took my call for them. So now I'm looking more at not wide receiver, wide receiver. This is honestly a good spot for Jalen Wiedermeyer. I'm not a fan of him, but this is like a really good spot for him. They don't really have much of a tight end room. So I'm going to take him. Like, just surround your quarterback with as much help as possible, which they've done. For the Vikings here, I took Karlaftis round 1, I'm pretty sure. Wait, did I? Oh, I took Kyle Hamilton. So this is where I'm looking at edge. I'm not a fan of Myjai Sanders, not a fan of Drake Jackson, but Mike Zimmer is totally the coach that would take Drake Jackson. This isn't a predictive mock draft. Ooh, Perry and Winfrey is there. I gotta pull the trigger. They don't have any pass rush on the interior, and Winfrey could offer that. For the Chargers, went Karlaftis round 1, now I'm looking at corner. It's Josh Jobe. Actually, hold on. Sevyn Banks. Banks is a developmental guy, but he has such an incredible upside. Patriots, I went Garrett Wilson round 1. Honestly, I'm looking at receiver again. And this is where I take Treylon Burks. It's such a good fit for him. Because Burks, they want these guys that are going to produce a ton after the catch. And will operate in the short to intermediate game. And Burks can do that. Steelers. I want Munford, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to go offensive line again. Their O-line is a train wreck. And this is Operation Fix That O-line. And the pick for me is Jackson Kirkland. I think he's going to be a guard in the NFL, but he needs to put on weight to do that, and I think he will. So now, Kendrick Green will have help. Or, you got one tackle, you got a guard, now you just have to fix the other 2 spots. For the Dolphins, I'm pretty sure I took a lineman for them round 1. I went Ike Mekwonu. So now I'm going to go another lineman. Because their line is also a train wreck. I'm going to pretty much just use the opinion of what I've heard from other people. It's going to be Nicolas Petit-Fier. I haven't watched him, but I know a lot of people that like him. For the Saints here, I'm pretty sure I went wide receiver round 1. I'd look at corner. Would I look at safety? They could use a safety for the long term, but I'm not sure who that would be, to be honest. Ooh, I like Travius Hodges Tomlinson. He's a freaky athlete. And the Saints could use a lot of upside on that roster. For the Cowboys, what tight ends are on the board? Cade Otton, I like. He's a really good athlete. But I think I went corner on 1, and I honestly would go corner again. Yeah. You're in the NFL rewarded for throwing as many darts as possible. And I would go Josh Jobe. Let all those corners they took, I think it was, they took Israel Mukuamu, Kelvin Joseph, Reggie Robertson, 2 years ago, if you're talking in 2022. Then you took Ahmad Gardner, and now Josh Jobe. Just throw all those darts at that corner room. Falcons, they're honestly very similar to the Cowboys. I think their offensive line is going to be really good this year. I think their weapons are really good. Could potentially look at a number 2 receiver. Jahan Dotson or Jaden Hazelwood are guys I really like. Corners, Mikael Wright. Not looking at linebacker. Looking at edge, but I'm not sure if I would take any of these guys. Oh, what? Hold on. Nick Benito. That's just an oversight on my end. And now for my expert Seahawks opinions. Their corner room, it all comes down to what Ahkello Witherspoon looks like. I'm very confident in DJ Reed. Jamal Adams will be back. Marquise Blair will solidify that safety spot. And then I think Shari Crosswell will actually be really good. He's a talented player who had off-field issues. So then the safety room is fine. Then the linebackers are more than fine. Potentially looking at that edge room, as they're mostly unproven there. Could look at throwing a dart there. If the Seahawks took Drake Jackson, I would lose my shit. Tyler Davis, Tyler Davis or Mikael Wright. Actually, what centers are there? Alec Lindstrom, ooh. This is a great spot for the Seahawks' needs. I think it's down to Alec Lindstrom, Mikael Wright, and Tyler Davis. Ooh. I think just because the scheme that the Seahawks are going to run, I would put the priority on Alec Lindstrom. Because they need a center. And Alec Lindstrom is a phenomenal center. Eagles back on the clock. We took wide receiver. We took corner, I think. What the? Kenyon Green. Andrew Booth. And then Sam Howell and John Mechie. So we've loaded up this roster. Now what do I take? I'm not taking tackle. Actually, this is linebacker. And my guy is Ventrell Miller. He is risky, but the reward is potentially huge. 49ers, this is corner. And I think the pick for me would be Mikael Wright. Super high upside corner who has actually pretty good technique. For the Browns here, who did I take earlier? Jordan Davis, so patched up that interior. Honestly, I'm looking at tight end. They run tons of 12 personnel, so they're going to use tons of 2 tight ends. I think Njoku is gone after this year. So, I'm going to go with Cade Otton, who is a really good athlete and is really skilled. Normally, these tight ends aren't the most skilled coming out of college. They mostly develop in the NFL. And now for the Bills. I took Breece Hall round 1. I want to look at that guard spot. I'm going to go Ed Ingram. Continue to patch up that O-line. Could have gone corner, but I'm not a fan of their interior. For the Rams, what centers are on the board? well, there's clearly a draw off, but I really like James Empey from BYU, and I know offensive line guys that I know also love him. I went Brandon Joseph for the Ravens round one. Now I'm thinking about edge. Adam Anderson. The Ravens could turn Adam Anderson into a 5-time All-Pro. Packers, we went receiver round one. So after going receiver, their receiving room, if they extend Devontae Adams, looks really good. Their linebackers are pretty good. Their edge rushers, pretty good. But where would I go now? Actually, tackle. Is it, do I take Zion Nelson or Rasheed Walker and hope they can develop? I'm not a fan of Myron Cunningham, who the Liberty Alliance sucked. I'm not taking Cooper McCraw. Oh, Daniel Falale is not a move blocker. Hey, I guess go Rasheed Walker and hope he can develop. Uh, the Bucks here are, who did I take round one? We went Christian Harris. I'm gonna go Zion Nelson here, and this is a great spot for him to learn and develop for a couple years for a guy who desperately needs it. For the Chiefs here, I'm doubling up on edge. This is my Jay Sanders, who I think is probably not the highest upside guy, but he's a really technically sound guy. And that's going to do it for the video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.